So I talk about jigs a lot on my channel. Jigs catch bass no matter the species, smallmouth, largemouth, spotted bass, and no matter if you're in Texas, Canada, or South Africa, jigs catch fish. And there are so many different types of jigs that do different things to catch the fish. So swim jigs are for swimming up shallow, football jigs are for out deep, skipping jigs are skipping. But there's one jig that I believe every angler, if you fish around clear water, needs in your tackle box, and it fits in the palm of my hand. What is that jig? My name's Tyler, and let's talk about it. Another giant. Look at that, y'all. I can't believe what I just caught. Yes! Well, how's it going, folks, and welcome back to TRF. My goal here on this channel is to help you guys become better bass anglers and catch more fish. So if you're all about that, hit that subscribe button to join the team. Now, like I said, you guys know I love catching fish on jigs. Jigs work stinking everywhere. But there's one jig that I think every angler needs, specifically if you fish around clear water. This jig, I'm not saying it can't work in dirty water, but it's gonna be awfully hard for a fish to find it, and that's because this jig is very small. This jig is so small, in fact, that an 1/8 ounce, a 3/16, or a 1/16 is the most common weight range for this jig. That's pretty dang tiny. And what jig am I talking about? I'm talking about the marabou hair jig. Yeah, this thing. It's tiny. The more that I travel and fish all around the country for various species of bass in tons of different scenarios, the more I learn about kind of regional type lures that maybe I didn't grow up learning about and definitely didn't grow up fishing in Texas where I'm from. And the marabou hair jig is one of those. This jig right here is a smallmouth bass catching machine. But as we're gonna talk about, that doesn't mean you can't throw it for largemouth and spotted bass as well. And you know what? If you're in Florida, throw peacock bass in there. This thing can catch them all. So I'm gonna break down the hair jig real quick. We're gonna hop on the front deck, show you how to work it, and then of course show you some amazing giant bass in Door County, Wisconsin, some of the clearest water footage you'll ever see throwing this tiny black 1/8 ounce marabou hair jig. So first, let's talk about what it represents. By looking at this thing right here, a little black speck of hair, you might think, Tyler, what the heck is this? Well, I had the same exact thought when I first used it, and what was taught to me is that this first and foremost represents a leech. Up here in the north, I'm in Wisconsin right now, they have leeches in the water, which are little black squiggly things that swim, and smallmouth bass specifically love to eat leeches. And so I thought, you know what, if I can throw this up north for smallmouth, can I also throw it down south for largemouth? And that's where the Outcast Tackle Fighter Fly is awesome, because it comes in a black for a leech imitation, it comes in brown for any kind of bug or mayfly imitation, and it comes in white if you want to throw this for any kind of, small minnow, shad, bait fish down south. And I have caught fish, and big ones, using all three of these. And I caught one of my biggest bass ever in Texas, especially night fishing, on this bait right here, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute.
Yes! Yes! Woo! Let's go! Yes!
That's how big of a lure he just ate. 1/8 ounce hair jig. There are certain times of the year where bass all around the country will feed on tiny little bait fish, tiny little crawfish, tiny little leeches, and your standard size lures are too big. I'm not saying you can't catch fish on those during those times of the year, but fish, especially right now, in today's specific situation, the bass are in a post-spawn funk. It's kind of weird. They're not eating anything out deep, but they're also not chasing any top waters or spinnerbaits or jerkbaits up shallow. And especially when you have, we'll talk about conditions, dead calm like we have behind me, not a lick of wind, this is really the only bait in clear water that works. Now, why do I say clear water? I say clear water because this thing is very, very small and puts out almost no water disturbance, definitely no vibration, no sound. It's not flashy colored, it's just a little tiny black, brown, or white blob going through the water. And here's what it looks like underwater. It's pretty ugly. But honestly, I think that's kind of the point. It is unassuming. It is unobtrusive. The fish see it. It kind of like is swimming past their face, and oftentimes they will follow it for a long time, especially smallmouth, being curious, looking at the thing, and then hopefully deciding to eat it. You're going to see some footage where they do decide to eat it, and some where a fish follows it and then doesn't eat it. I just saw one chase me. He didn't eat it though. Now in the water, the jig does not look like this. The jig looks like this. Really stinking ugly little rat face looking boy. This thing is not appealing at all to fishermen. And so if you're looking for a lure that catches fishermen, this is not the one. I guess in this form. Maybe in this form it catches fishermen on the tackle shelf, but definitely not this one. This is what it looks like in the water. Now let's talk about gear real quick. With this jig being such a light jig, again, 1/8 ounce is the heaviest I will go throwing this, you gotta throw it on a spinning rod. You cannot throw this thing on a bait caster. Maybe you guys who are using the Japanese BFS type stuff, you might be able to throw it on a bait caster, but even then the gear ratios are a little too fast for throwing this thing. You want to creep this thing along the top of the water column within the first, I'd say, 3 feet of the water column. And if you're in clear water, fish can find this, they will find it, and they will follow and eat it. So the gear you need is a spinning rod. I'm not gonna say you have to go buy a specific spinning rod to throw a hair jig, but if you live up north, so this is speaking to the guys in Minnesota, Wisconsin, New York, Ohio, and you have really clear water, and especially smallmouth bass, it is worth it investing in a hair jig combo, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of situations, especially in the summer post-spawn, when the fish just won't bite anything else. They won't bite an Ed rig. They won't bite a drop shot. I've been live scoping the heck out of these fish. They will follow my drop shot in my tube and will turn around and not eat it, but they will eat a hair jig on an extra long cast, and the only way to do that is on a spinning rod. So you can throw it on a 7-foot medium light, definitely not medium heavy. You want a whippier, softer power spinning rod. I like a 7/6 medium light. That way it's a long rod to get plenty of casting distance. I throw it on 15-pound braided line. I might even switch to 10-pound in the future. And then I've got an 8-pound Seaguar Gold label leader. This stuff is the diameter of like 5 to 6 pound normal brand line. It is so strong, it is so thin, and it helps with casting. So again, it is a very, very finesse tactic, and you can do it on a normal spinning rod, but you for sure need a light fluorocarbon line. Again, I'm throwing an 8-pound gold label, and I will have all this stuff linked in the video description below. Now, one thing you can do to make this thing cast a little bit further is this. So I've got my hair jig right here, and then I've got a bag of soft plastic worms. Now, ideally you do this with a worm that is broken, but I'm gonna take kind of a skinny section of the worm right here and cut off, again, maybe like 1/3 of an inch, 1/4 inch, is a tiny little piece of soft plastic. Ideally soft plastic with salt so it helps it sink, but again, if you want to keep your hair jig higher in the water column, get an Elastec type of soft plastic, that way it does not sink. And I'm going to thread this soft plastic up onto the hair jig. Here, the Outcast tackle one that I use. They make some awesome stuff, and they designed this fighter jig to have a bait keeper right there. So I'm gonna thread, hopefully this camera can see it here, thread this soft plastic nice and straight onto that hair jig and all the way up, and then make sure it's nice and straight. I'm gonna flip the jig over. You can see it's kind of got some wings right there, and I'm gonna cover it with the hair. And oftentimes it takes a few times getting it in the water to really get that soft plastic covered, but that not only adds some weight to it to help you cast it further, it also, as long as the color match, it adds some bulk to it to make it a little bit bigger, and that way the hair, instead of flaring kind of in the center in more of a leech type way, it has a little bit bigger of a pulse, similar to a spinnerbait. I love doing that with a hair jig if I need to get extra long casts, but I have found, for the most part, the fish love to eat it in that super slender format, and in the rest of this video, most of the catches will come on one that has no soft plastic, but I think 1 or 2, at least of the brown hair jig, I put a piece of soft plastic worm. So I'm gonna stick this in the water real quick. And just like that, we have a hair jig that is a little bit bigger of a profile, all because I put a tiny piece of soft plastic. Again, not one that's too big, one that is just small enough to fit on there, but bulk up that hair jig and get you a little more casting distance. So let's hop on the front deck, show you guys how to cast and retrieve this hair jig to catch bass. So I want to emphasize again, this is a clear water technique. And so when you're fishing in clear water, especially with how shallow I'm fishing a hair jig, usually 8 feet of water or less, polarized sunglasses are a must. So I'm putting on my sunglasses again. We are on a flat right now. The fish have spawned here. There's some sand out there, some boulders up here. And so I'm just kind of gonna cruise with my trolling motor on 6 or 7, looking around, and oftentimes you can actually cast at fish that are cruising. People ask me all the time, Tyler, how do you catch fish that are cruising? I can't get them to follow my lures, they spook. A hair jig is a small enough lure that can do that. So I'm gonna first find a good looking area. I see crawfish down here, and again, stressing it, it's a clear water thing. If you fish in dirty water, this is not the technique for you. And so I'm gonna get about usually 2 to 2.5 feet of line out of the end of my, my rod tip, and You might find a casting technique that works better for you, but for me, depending on the wind level, again, I can throw this in up to 10 miles an hour of wind. Above that, I'm gonna throw a jerkbait or something else. I like to do a roll cast that ends up. And so let me show you guys what that looks like. And I cast that about, I don't know, 20, 25 yards maybe. And that's about the farthest cast that I can get. So I'm gonna reel that in again real quick and show you guys on an overhand cast. I guess I got as far, but it was a little more effort for me to have to put into that. I did not like it as much. So once again, let me show you guys my favorite type of cast for this. Distance is so crucial. It's gonna be again, 2.5 feet out like this, and then a big roll cast like that. And in my opinion, that's the best way to get distance out of this thing. So now that we made a cast, I let it sink for, 3 seconds or so, and then I start the retrieve. So let me make a better cast so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. And what you're gonna do is slowly reel the handle while you're pulsating the rod. I see guys like Ben Nowak, who's a smallmouth expert, so he's probably better at this than I am, who like to just reel their hair jigs completely still. I have caught fish doing that, but I like to pulsate my rod a little bit as I'm reeling very slowly. So as you can see from my chest mount, it is such a small little rod pulse, and the reel handle is just barely turning. 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's like it's a reel handle turn every, 2 to 3 seconds. So just cast out there. It's probably 6 feet. 2, 3. There's one. There's one. Let's go. Let's go. I proved it. That is awesome. Again, we are on a flat right here with some post-spawn smallmouth, and this can work. Again, if you're in a bass boat or on the bank, it does not matter. Of course, I have a lot more room to move around on a bass boat, but if you have a lot of bank line with some really clear water and some room to cast, you can catch them throwing this little tiny hair jig. Don't you just love it when you catch one when you're teaching it? Oh man, that's stinking fun. 8-pound line, gotta be careful boat flipping him, but I got him in. Oh, it's awesome. That right there is where you want to hook them, right in that either soft or hard area, right behind the head by the eyes. And just you gotta be real careful with the outcast hair jig. And a lot of these hair jigs, the marabou ones, very light wire hook. But that right there is just a beautiful smallmouth bass. Stinking awesome. Stinking awesome. You love to see it. Thank you, my friend. Well, that right there, I think, was a great explanation on how the hair jig works. But like I said, we have some awesome giant bass caught on this exact bait right here to show you guys. Let's get out there. Got him. Gosh, stinking biggin. Stinking biggin. He's by himself. He's by himself. Gosh, man. Holy cow. We like to see that, folks. Might go 4 or 5, I don't know. Just creeped it over that boulder, saw him poke his head out and eat it. You're big. I was telling Hannah that I rigged 2 different colors up. I rigged up a brown and a black. I went down the ridge with the black, and I'm coming back now with the brown. This is my first cast, or my first run with the brown. Come on, buddy. Come on. Beautiful. You know what? I don't feel like losing fish for the sake of looking cool. Cool guys, use nets. Bring it in. Oh, we love a good jump, but don't do it anymore, please. We love a good jump. We love a good jump. Come on. Come on. Bring it in here. Bring it in here. Bring it in my net. Yes, sir. Oh, ho, ho. Might be a little bit bigger than I thought. That right there is a chunk of a smallmouth bass right there, boys and girls. Look at that beauty. Hoo, hoo, hoo. On the brown outcast tackle little hair jig, the fighter jig. And this right here is exactly where you want to hook them, right there in the top of the mouth. The thing was literally never coming undone. Matter of fact, I should probably use pliers or else I'm gonna bend out my hook. These are very, very thin wire hooks. Got it right there. Beautiful Wisconsin smallmouth. Heck yeah. Let's stinking go. I just saw one chase me. He didn't eat it though. Oh, come on. Man, why aren't you eating it? Another one. These are smarter. I don't know why. Got him. Got him. There we go. There we go. There we go. He's got a friend. He's got friends. He's got friends. He's got friends, Hannah. Get up here. Get on up here. Get on up here. Get on up here. And his friends are right next to him. Right here. See him down there in the water?
No.
Right there. There he is. See him right there?
No.
Oh my goodness. Good, 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 good. Bring it to me. Bring it to me. Bring it to me. Bring it to me. Let it sit. Shake it.
I don't see the other fish.
He might be gone. He might be gone. Okay, reel in. Okay, dang it.
Yeah.
That's okay. Good try. Let's land this fish. Come here. Ah, there you go. All you gotta do is give a smallmouth a belly. Grab him by the belly, he can't go nowhere. Just like that. 3-pound smallmouth with a hair jig. Gotta love it, man. Beautiful fish, my gosh. Got it. Hoo, 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 hoo. That is what I like to see. Alrighty, see you, Mr. Smallmouth. Kerplunk. Oh gosh, dang it. He ate it. He ate it. No. Oh gosh, no. Oh, there's multiple of them right there. Eat it. Why don't you eat it? Ah, dang it. There's one. There's one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What a jump. What a stinking jump. You are big, my friend. Hello. Oh gosh, it's so high. Yes. Ha ha ha. Beautiful fish. Oh man, oh man. What a stinking beauty. Nothing like a good old-fashioned brown town. The old fighter fly. Beautiful. Bye-bye. Oh, there's a lot of fish around here. Eat it, eat it, eat it. Got him, got him. Yes, sir, yes, sir. Yes. Big boy. You don't need that much drag. Hey now. Bring them on in. You're so strong. Get up in here. Ha ha ha. Yes. That's a yes. That's a big, fat, stinking yes. You weren't getting off, my friend. Love it.